So, the other day, I made a poll in my community tab asking which was your guys' favorite character out of the 4 core Rugrats: Tommy, Chucky, Phil, and Lil. That poll got over 8,000 votes, and the result was a pretty strong blowout, with Chucky taking the lead at a whopping 52% of the vote. Tommy came in a pretty close second with 37%, and Phil and Lil, well, they lost, taking a combined 11% of the vote between the two of them. But I'm not gonna lie, I was kinda surprised by the results of this poll. I honestly expected Tommy to take the vote, but I'm glad that Chucky won because he's my favorite too. Rugrats is such an amazing show, and Chucky is such a good character. He's a well-written character that really has a good amount of depth to his character development over the course of the show. His common trope being that he is slightly older than the other kids, but substantially more fearful than the other kids as well. Chucky is usually played out to be the cowardly character who's always trying to run away from confrontation and anything remotely scary. However, over the course of the series, we see him grow more brave, having to take on the responsibility of being an older brother to his sister Kimmy later on in the series, and standing up for her and protecting her on multiple occasions. We would also see Chucky eventually say his first words in the Rugrats in Paris movie, and the series would continue the use of that word throughout the following seasons. While the other characters stayed relatively the same since their inception, barring Tommy becoming a big brother to Dill and having to take on his own responsibilities, I feel like Chucky really grew the most as a character over the entire course of the series from start to finish. I could go on forever about how much of a well-written character Chucky is in my opinion. It makes sense that he would win that poll. In the aftermath of the poll though, which Rusty Shackelford in the comments accurately compared to asking a parent who their favorite kid was, I found myself thinking about not only how much I truly enjoy Rugrats, but also just thinking back to all of the Chucky-centered episodes in general. There's a lot of really good ones that I can recall off the top of my head, like the one where Chucky eats a watermelon seed and thinks that a watermelon is gonna grow inside of him and make him explode, or the one where Angelica convinces the other babies that Chucky and his dad are aliens. But overall, there was one specific episode that really stuck in my head, and I can't lie to you guys, this one's a real tearjerker. It's an episode that might just tug your heartstrings a little too hard, so be warned now. Honestly, with it being that time of year, it just felt fitting that on today's nostalgic walk down memory lane, we look at the episode of Rugrats called Mother's Day.
Doing with my macaroni. We were just playing with you, Angelica. Well, it's not for playing with. If you knowed anything, you'd know that you use macaroni to make art. Is that art?
Angelica explains to the babies that she is an artist and that she is making macaroni art for her mom because today is Mother's Day.
What's Mother's Day? Mother's Day is the day everybody gives their mom presents. Oops. What do we got to give them presents just for being moms? Well, in your case, it's to say you're sorry. And why do you got to give your mom a present? So she'll have 2 of me. Now get out of here and let me work. We don't got to present for our mom, Philip. Oh, I got a piece of candy I've been saving.
Tommy recommends that they all look around the house for presents for their moms. Meanwhile, we cut over to Betty and Dee Dee talking upstairs while Dee Dee's getting ready. She asks Betty what Howard is doing for her for Mother's Day, but she says that she just gave him the day off. Meanwhile, we learn that Dee Dee is planning on going to her favorite health spa, the International House of Mud, and bringing her mom with her for Mother's Day. She's worried that her mom might not enjoy the spa because her and her mother don't really have all too much in common when it comes to things that they enjoy. Not too long after that though, Stu comes in with his Mother's Day present for Dee Dee.
Get ready for the ultimate breakfast in bed.
Stu, it's practically lunchtime.
I had a few technical difficulties.
Oh, that's okay, dear. It's the thought that counts.
Clap on.
It's lovely.
It's a vacuum cleaner.
Oh, it's much more than that. Watch. Dee, you know that tofutti shake you love so much?
Oh, dear.
Though Stu's invention did have a lot of positive intent behind it, it makes a gigantic mess of the whole room. On the bright side though, at least it cleans up after itself. Shortly after that, we cut over to Chaz, who is at the front door.
Dee Dee, do you think I could talk to you for a minute? Alone?
No, not the egg beater.
You two jab. I'll go make sure Einstein is still in one piece.
We cut on over to Chucky, who's approaching his friends, wondering what they're up to. They explain that Angelica told them that it's Mother's Day and that they're trying to find presents for their moms. They invite him to join them.
But who would I give a present to? Oh, yeah. You don't got to, Mom, do you, Chucky? Nope. How come? I don't know. I just don't got one. Well, you can still come with us. You guys go ahead. Mother's Day is for kids who got moms. I'll just stay here.
Meanwhile, we see Chaz asking Dee Dee to hold on to a box of stuff that belonged to Chucky's mom. He says that he thinks it's for the best that Chucky doesn't find the box for now.
I mean, I was looking at her things, because it's Mother's Day. Well, actually, I was just looking at the box. Well, technically, I was in the other room thinking about the box, and...
I know it's been hard for you since Melinda.
No, I'm fine, really. No, it's Chucky. See, he's getting into everything now, and I just...
Oh, Charles, I understand. I'll take care of it.
Well, goodbye.
Downstairs in the basement, Stu is showing Betty his latest invention, the Mom Assistant Project. He says that he programmed it with everything it needs to know to be a mom. Betty questions his ability to do that, and she helps herself over to his console. She reads the obnoxious trash that Stu has programmed into this thing, and she decides that she's gonna change it, considering that she knows what it really means to be a mom. Up in the yard, the babies are still struggling to come up with ideas for what to give their moms. Lil brings up to Phil the memory of the first ever present that they gave their mom.
Back when we used to be hungry all the time, remember? Mommy'd come in and feed us the old way. Oh, yeah. You'd be on one side and I was on the other.
Our first laugh.
Mommy says that was the best present we ever gave her.
After the twins finish their story, Tommy tells the story of the first time he remembers seeing his mom.
I think I was in a fish tank or something. It seemed like nobody knew I was there, and it was scary. Then my mom came. I don't think I even know she was my mom then. But when she held my hand, I didn't feel scared anymore. As long as I was there, she never let go.
Chucky sadly says that he really wishes that he could remember stuff like that. Lil asks if he remembers ever having a mom, and Chucky says that he doesn't. But he does dream about having a mom though, and it's always the same dream over and over again.
We're always outside, and there's lots of grass and flowers. I think she likes flowers. And there's a butterfly, and I'm not even afraid of it. Then what happens? Then I wake up, and usually I go potty. That's a real nice dream, Chucky. Yeah, but it's only a dream. And you can't give presents to a dream.
Tommy suggests that they find a new mom for Chucky, so they all go on the hunt. They start with a metal model that Dee Dee uses to sew and alter dresses, but that doesn't work too well. Next up, they try Spike, but he doesn't make a very good mom to Chucky for obvious reasons. They come to realize that moms are supposed to be people, so Lil decides that she's gonna be Chucky's mom.
The first thing we got to do is clean that messy baby face. Hey, I think you're supposed to spread on the tissue. Oh well. Think your baba, baby. Where'd you get that bottle, Lillian? Under the refrigerator, baby Chucky. I licked all the inside.
We cut on over to Angelica, who's angrily digging through a drawer and looking for some glue for her project. She says that she wishes she could be a mom so that someone could slave over her for the day. Just then, we see Chucky running away from Lil, who's trying to burp him like a baby. She ends up literally throwing him in the garbage in the process.
Let's just face it, Tommy. We're not gonna find me a mom. What's his problem?
Chucky's sad because you don't got a mom.
No, I'm not. Chucky wants a mom?
Yeah, Lil didn't work out too good.
I was doing better than Spike.
Not much.
I suppose I could be his mom.
You'd do that for me?
Angelica says that she'd love to be his mom, but she's so busy with her macaroni art. So Chucky offers to finish it for her, saying that he'd do anything just to have a mom. We see Chucky working on Angelica's macaroni self-portrait. His friends come on over to check on him, and they offer to have him come look for presents with them some more, but he says that he can't because he needs to keep working on Angelica's macaroni project.
Sorry, Tommy. When I finish this, my Angelica mom is taking me to the park. And then she's gonna buy me a monkey and a roly-poly and my very own cowboy tie.
Wow, she's better than our mom.
Hey, what are you babies doing here?
We were just talking.
Well, in case you haven't noticed, Blaine is busy right now.
Who's Blaine?
He is. Chucky's a stupid name. Blaine's a TV name. Everybody knows TV names are better.
The babies walk off, and we see Angelica pretending to be on the phone as Chucky is finishing the statue. She tells him to get a hat, and tells him that any hat will do, then proceeds to make him go through like 5 different hats before she decides that a hat just won't work and they'll just use a flower instead. We see them in the backyard, and Angelica points out one specific flower to Chucky and tells him to go get it for her.
What you doing, Chucky?
Just get this flower for my mom.
But Mama Bee's eating that one.
Well, this is the one she wants.
But Chucky, they're all the same.
Look, maybe to you guys they're all the same, and maybe you can get your moms any old present, but my Angelica mom is the onlyest mom I got, and that's the onlyest flower she wants.
Tommy grabs Chucky by the arm and says that they're gonna have a talk with his mom as he proceeds to scream at Angelica.
You gotta tell Chucky he doesn't gotta get the flower with the bumblebee on it.
Oh, Blaine, you don't have to get it for me. I'll just tell my mom there's no present for her this year.
Don't cry, Angelica mom. I'll get it.
Oh, great. I'll be watching TV.
I got it.
As Chucky runs away from the bee, Phil claps, which causes Stu's invention in the house to react and come flying outside. It goes full speed at Chucky, and he jumps into a bush to escape it, destroying Angelica's flower in the process.
Angelica mom, I got your flower.
That's not a flower. It's a green stick with a thing on it.
But
All I wanted was one flower for my macaroni head. You know what this says? He loves me not.
I'm sorry, Angelica mom.
Angelica, leave him alone.
And after all I've done for you. Fine. Go and play with your baby friends.
But Angelica mom,
My head!
Angelica locks the poor babies in the closet, telling them that they're going to be on timeout until they're old, and Chucky can forget about having a mom.
Looking back on it, Spike was a pretty good mom.
this is my fault. I don't deserve to have a mom.
Sure you do, Chucky. But you deserve a good mom. Not like Angelica. Yeah, a mom who can kiss boo-boos and make them better.
And help you do things you never thought you could do. Like what?
A mom who'd love you and your flower. Even if it is just a green stick with a thing on it.
Chucky thinks about it, and he realizes that he sort of does have a mom like that in his life. His dad.
I guess your dad could be your mom.
Sure, he's the bestest mom ever.
So now you can look for a Mother's Day present with us after all.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Lil points out that they can't go find presents because Angelica put them on timeout for the rest of their lives. Tommy decides to go look around the closet for some presents, and all of the babies follow suit. Lil finds a small hand shovel in a box, and the babies investigate further.
What else is in there?
There's a book.
Ooh, does it got pictures?
Just pictures of flowers, but they didn't glue them in very good.
Look, everybody. It's the lady I told you about from my dreams.
A mother needs wisdom for dealing with a fever of 105 at 3 a.m. on a Sunday. And she's got to have dignity for when she's covered with spit up at the supermarket.
Plus strength, especially if she's got twins.
Betty finishes telling the machine what it means to be a mother, and the system immediately overloads, which Betty completely saw coming. Upstairs, Stu's machine immediately freaks out and starts to run through the house, about to explode. Just then, Dee Dee and her mom are coming back inside from their trip to the spa, as Dee Dee's mom is talking about how she didn't really enjoy taking a bath with other people.
I'm just saying, $80 for water and dirt. You can get mud for free in your own backyard. Ah, your living room. What is it, Edward?
Oh, Mom, I just wanted to do something we'd both like.
You know what I like? This I like.
All the adults come to the entryway as the kids fall out of the closet that Angelica had locked them in. Phil and Lil end up giving their mom a toilet plunger that they found. Tommy ends up giving his mom a flower, I assume from outside. And Chucky, well...
Hi, little guy. Did you and your friends have fun? Oh, Chucky. Thank you. Maybe we should keep this in a safe place for now, okay?
What's the matter, Chucky?
I don't know. I thought it was a really pretty picture. I guess my dad doesn't like it, Tommy.
Chaz goes to put all the stuff from Chucky's mom away, but Dee Dee stops him.
I think it's time you shared these things with Chucky.
Well, I'm just afraid he'll miss her.
Then you can miss her together.
Chucky, this is your mommy.
We see Chucky and Chaz in the backyard as Chaz explains to him that his mother was really into gardening and that she planted all of the flowers that are in the garden in their backyard.
She used to love to come out here and play with you.
It's all right, Chucky. Don't be scared.
This is her diary. She started keeping it when she was in the hospital. The last thing she wrote in it was a poem for you.
The episode comes to an end with a scene that just tears your heart to pieces as Chaz reads the poem that Chucky's mother wrote for him.
My sweet little Chucky, though I must leave you
behind me, this poem will tell you where you always can find me. When a gentle wind blows, that's my hand on your face. And when the tree gives you shade, that's my sheltering embrace. When the sun gives you freckles, that's me tickling my boy. When the rain wets your hair, those are my tears of joy. When the long grass enfolds you, that's me holding you tight. When the whippoorwill sings, that's me whispering night.
During the final scene, we see Chucky telling his friends that he does have a mom, and that she's in the flowers, and the clouds, and the sun, and the wind. Now, this episode is enough to turn a grown man into a weeping pile of tears and snot. You know, they didn't really have to go that hard, but man, they did it. They turned the sadness straight to 10 for this episode. There is so much that I love about this episode, though. Primarily the fact that we get some legit backstory on Chucky's mother and what happened to her. Throughout the series, Chucky's mom has been a topic that honestly felt like it was avoided. Like, they pointedly didn't give Chucky a mom and never really told us why. It's interesting because in the season 1 episode Real or Robots, where Tommy and Chucky think that a sleepwalking Stu is a robot, Stu makes a comment to Chucky before he goes to bed that his mom and dad will be there to pick him up in the morning, which is a clear indicator that they hadn't planned to write out Chucky's mom by that point in the series. But as far as I can recall, this is the first point where we get any real actual explanation of who Chucky's mom was. It made me feel so satisfied, and it just warmed my heart to see Chaz explain to Chucky who his mom is, instead of letting him forget her. That's one thing that kind of drove me nuts about this episode. I don't really see any benefit in letting Chucky forget his own mother. I understand Chaz being worried that he's gonna miss her, but like, missing people is part of life, and Chucky should have the opportunity to miss his own mother, especially given the fact that he still has memories of her. Along the way, there are a few things that I just have to point out. First of all, when the babies are going looking for presents for their moms, and Chucky just kind of sits down and says that they can go without him, and that he's just gonna sit here, it kind of drove me nuts that the babies were just, like, okay with that. Like, Chucky pretty much excluded himself, and they were just like, well, okay, and went about their business. I totally get it, they're babies, and that's part of the humor. They haven't fully developed or been taught empathy yet, but still, it's just kinda drove me nuts. As Chucky's best friend, I feel like Tommy should know better than to just let Chucky exclude himself, but I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. Part of me just really feels like Tommy could have at least offered to let Chucky help him pick out something to give to his mom together, and if Chucky refuses that, it's totally understandable. They can't force him to participate, but boy were they quick to be like, okay, see ya. Moving on from there though, the next thing I want to touch on is that scene where all of the babies are recalling their early memories. I loved this sequence because it's not often that they do this in Rugrats, and it always fascinates me to learn about how far my own kids can remember back into their past. Seeing the Rugrats remember their past definitely pulled at some heartstrings for me. That scene where Lil talks about back in the times when they were hungry all the time and they would eat together the old way, of course this being a reference to breastfeeding. I honestly love that Phil and Lil can remember all the way back to their first laugh together with their mom, but more than that, I love that they made a breastfeeding reference in this cartoon. This episode came out all the way back in 1997, and I love the fact that they weren't afraid to normalize breastfeeding in a mainstream show all the way back then. Plus, the sequence of how Phil and Lil recalled it was just adorable. Then, of course, after that, we learned that Tommy's earliest memory was being inside of what looked like a fish tank and being scared until his mom held his hand. This implying, of course, that Tommy was a preemie and had to possibly live in the NICU for an amount of time after being born. It's never really explained the circumstances surrounding Tommy's birth, but we do know that he was a preemie at least. After this, though, it's never really discussed again. I feel like that's yet again another bold topic that Nick was tackling all the way back then. This is a good representation that not all births are easy. Sometimes there are complications, and that's a very unfortunate and sad part of life. This part hit me like a ton of bricks. My daughter wasn't a preemie, but she was born really jaundiced, and she had to live in the NICU for like the first week of her life. It was really hard on my wife and I remember when my daughter was born 9 years ago, I was working at Subway, and the day she was born, I ended up having to work graveyard shift that night by myself, and I was just so sad and alone all night. It was just miserable. I was a brand new dad, and I just wanted to be with my wife and baby, but I couldn't, so I just ate my feelings in free Subway food. Now, on a more weird and light-hearted note, I gotta bring up that flower that Chucky tried to give Angelica. It only had one petal left on it and was just the stem and the bud, and it really just kinda gave me the heebie-jeebies. It kinda triggered my trypophobia a little bit, and I just didn't like it. One other thing that I just can't skip over too is that scene where Chucky walks up to his dad and hands him that picture of his mom. When he hands it over to Chaz, everyone in the room goes dead silent and just kind of stares at him with very somber expressions, including Dee Dee's mom. This implies that they all knew Chucky's mother, and they could have possibly all been friends with her as well. We're never really given the full answer there, but it's definitely something that crossed my mind when I saw how they all reacted to that happening. I will say though, all in all, this episode is just fantastic on so many levels. It was great for character development, and it was great story-wise, and it was all around just enjoyable. This episode was so good that it was actually nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award in 1997 for the Outstanding Animated Program category. It ended up losing to The Simpsons, but still, it's impressive to me that this episode was nominated in the first place. I do find it interesting that they didn't necessarily say that Chucky's mom is dead, but Chaz did mention that she ended up starting her diary when she was in the hospital. Like, they implied that she was dead, but they never actually said it. I especially find it interesting considering that Rugrats has tackled the topic of death previously. To be specific, in the episode I Remember Melville, where Chucky's pet bug Melville dies, but whatever, I guess. It's a weird hill to die on when they've already been there before, but it is what it is. I do gotta ask though, what do you guys think? Do you remember this episode? Did it break your heart like it did to mine? Let me know in the comments down below. I always love seeing your guys' feedback. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like and maybe share it with a friend, and as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.